So, moving on,
Mhm.
one would have thought that after the dreadful opening ceremony of the Olympics, things only could get better. Now that the competition has got underway.
All right.
Pas du tout, as they say in France. Not at
Mm.
all. It seems that the transport system was inadequate for out of towners to get to Paris. You know, they had that thing about
Yeah.
the train and the
Yeah.
airports, which is
Mm.
something that we mentioned like a week
Yeah.
before. And so it's made people uh, cancel the trips to Paris
Mm.
uh, because it's not getting to Paris that'll be the problem. It's going back home. When you're
Mm.
skint, it's
Yeah.
spent up, and you have to take alternative transport. You might not have the money to do that, and so it
Yeah.
complicates things. And some people have to get back home to start work, and if
Mm.
if that's all up in the air, then it appears that the hoteliers are upset because so many hotels have so many vacancies
Mm.
in Paris because of the cancellations. So they'll be missing out on what should have been a bonanza for the
Mm.
Parisian service sector,
Yeah.
you know. However, there was some comfort as participating athletes were eating out,
Mm.
going to restaurants, and even sleeping out in the good sense of the word
Yeah.
by leaving the village and going staying in
Yeah.
hotels. Uh, it seems that the dorms in the Olympic Village with cardboard beds have been given cardboard beds to sleep on.
Yeah. Mm.
Uh, Also, vegan meals that they were given to eat, they just didn't come up to scratch. The Brit,
Well done.
The British contingent
Yeah.
way about the food problem, referring to eating a place called Clichy, which is near to Paris or in the
Mm.
suburbs of Paris, as most of the food was plant-based that they were given in the Olympic
Yeah.
canteen.
Yeah.
Uh, an Olympic Committee spokesperson said, and I
Mm.
quote, "What if the Paris 2024 Games were an opportunity to discover a new way of eating in stadiums and sport events? Paris 2024 intends to use the Games as an opportunity to highlight how creative and sustainable food can be
Mm.
produced at a major international event, as is highlighted in its food vision."
Mm.
So, in other words, they're experimenting their ideas using the athletes as guinea pigs. Right?
Mm.
Now, these athletes have spent their lives training
Yeah.
for this event,
Mm.
and they need specific diets
Mm.
for each athlete, for each uh, sport, the
Yeah.
requirements for each sport that they're taking part in.
Yeah.
So, if you give a heavyweight weightlifter uh, plankton to eat
Yeah.
for his, you know, he's not going to be very happy.
Yeah.
He wants spaghetti, eggs, beef, you
Well, yeah.
know,
High
to,
protein. Yeah. Yeah.
to keep his strength up. Right.
Yeah.
It seems that the IOC is more fresh than the food that they're promising, saying that they're going to deliver into the
Oh,
athletes.
dear. Yeah.
As for comfort, the tennis team, the US
Mm.
tennis, had to leave their cardboard bedded dorm as it provided only two washrooms for 10 athletes.
Mm.
Now, I don't know if you've counted how much time your missus spends in the bathroom in the morning.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
know it's a lot. I know it's a lot longer than you do.
Yeah.
Right? So when you got 20, when you got 10 girls around two bathrooms, you
Mm.
know, the queue is going to be quite stressful.
Yeah.
It might be the norm for the French,
Mm.
10 people for two bathrooms. And we know they all smell. So now perhaps we know why. You know, for them it's normal. You know,
Yeah. Mm.
deodorant under each arm, you're good to go.
Yeah. 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 Well, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and then you're going to sweat on the tennis courts. Nobody will ask you for your autograph. You know that, don't you? They wouldn't want to come. They wouldn't want to come
Yeah.
clear, come
Yeah.
near.
Yeah.
So they left the village to book
Mm.
into a hotel. Now, aren't they the lucky ones because
Mm.
they could afford to do
All
that?
it. Yeah.
There are
Yeah.
many athletes that come lower down the pecking order
Mm.
in terms of finances that can't afford to do that.
Mm.
So they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. They're stuck on
Yeah.
they're stuck with the cardboard beds, I'm afraid, and they're going to do they're going to do what they can.
Mm.
Crowded transport for the athletes was another
Mm.
problem. Um, slow trajectories of the athletes' bus uh, plagued plagued the athletes
Mm.
when a 10-mile trip from the village to the swimming pools took up to 2 hours. Uh, an anecdote that I heard
Mm.
was that the Swedish water polo team had to get off the bus,
Mm.
pick up a car, put the car on the pavement so the bus could get through,
Mm.
because the street was a narrow street. And you would have thought that either the police would have stopped people parking on the narrow streets,
Mm.
knowing that the bus is going to come down, or the routes that the bus takes would be determined just to go through the wider avenues
Mm.
to get to the destinations.
Yeah.
So you could argue, the Swedish polo team, perhaps they were up to play against France,
Mm.
and the French just wanted to get them riled and, you know,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
even get them to arrive late so they can't
Yeah.
prepare with football.
Yeah.
But there you go. That's about it. Behind the scenes, it's not only front of house does it look bad,
Mm.
but back of house as well. There are many, many complaints. So over to you.
Well, yeah, I mean, the more we're reading about it, um, yeah, I mean, I stopped reading about all the negativity around it because, I like sport. I like to watch sport. I'm not a great sports person, but I respect the athletes doing things. And they are what people have forgotten is the athletes are the most important people in the Olympics. If
Yeah,
you
of
don't,
course.
you don't have the
Without
Olympics.
that's
Yeah.
right.
And yeah, I mean, I read this and everyone's sort of saying, oh, they're a bit precious and everything else. They have to be the top performers. And you know this because you've been in the music industry. You've got to get your head in the right place, do anything to be the best you can. And this is it. And it's all part psychology. You've just sort of said about the polo team. It's I'm going to say it is a complete example of how not to plan anything or do anything. It's a classic. I mean, you could use it as a project management example. I've done project management of how not to plan anything. This experimentation, as you were talking about with the food. No, diet is important to athletes. You might not agree with meat eating or anything else, but you don't enforce your beliefs on anyone else. If you're going to say Okay, we're going to have this type of meat. That's literally meat, meat. That's it. Let vegans do it. Although being a vegan is a bit complicated as well, from what I understand. Um, you know, it's what do they call it? It's the outcome. It's all right having the ideology, but it's the outcome. I could have told you. I mean, I've seen these. Okay, cardboard is, okay, make cardboard things and all that. With all due respect, I saw that. There's no way those beds are suitable for a good night's sleep. Probably be comfortable in a sleeping bag on the floor, because that's what I've been doing, quite honestly. I've done that actually when I've gone, that's been a really bad bed. I've just chucked the mattress on the floor and slept on the floor. And being a cheap hotel, not not the best part of a billionaire residential complex. It's these people. I mean, okay, probably well intentioned and all that. Evidently not athletes. Evidently not achieved anything in their life with any understanding. Just activism, pure activism. They have had a country's administration that is into all this, whatever you want to call it, progressiveness. I don't consider it progressive myself. I mean, if you're not happy with the pollution and everything else around an event and all that, don't have it in the first place. If it doesn't go, we will leave. Don't have the event. Quite frankly. I mean, this Olympics. I mean, we've still seen some good performances from the Olympians, but thankfully,
could be better. They could be better. They could have been better.
Well, this is it. I mean, the Australian girl who said that about her accommodation as well. People say, "Oh, suck it up." No, you've invited people to your house. You give them the best you can do. I don't know how the ROC operates. I've tried reading it. It's too complicated, and I'm not that interested at that point anyway, because it doesn't seem to operate at all in any level.
You touched on something that you said that you invite somebody to your house. You don't make them sleep in the hall, do you?
No. Well, I have been into a house where I slept on the hall, but that's a different matter. But after a party,
that's only because you were so drunk you couldn't make it up the stairs.
Something like that. What do you mean? I'm a healthy eating person, but a healthy living person. But it's just the whole thing has been a disaster from beginning to end. Apart from the athletes themselves, I think the athletes all deserve some sort of acknowledgement for performing under some very difficult circumstances. I will congratulate the athletes. I've always said that they are the most important people for me. People that can dance, like I said, if I want to watch people dance and perform, okay, anti-sacrilegious or sacrilegious events or something, I will go to them. On a personal level, getting back, I will just say, well done the athletes. I'm proud of them all. From what I've seen, I'd like to the losers who didn't get anything. I think you've all done extremely well to get yourself in the right mental place.
Well, believe it or not, the athletes don't compete against each other. They compete against themselves.
Of course you do. That's it.
You can come like 6th or 7th in a sprint race and be as pleased as punch because you broke your own personal best record. So the athletes, I learned this from a woman in many years ago. She said we don't compete against others, we compete against them.
That's it. It's the mental thing on day. And I watched the gymnastics that day and superb. I mean, okay, nobody's going to beat the Americans in bowls and the team. The Brazilians did well, the Italians did well, the Chinese did well. But that's it. You're competing against yourself. If you make a mistake or if you don't feel you've done it, I mean, you could miss by 1 or 2 points and feel really bad as well. Equally, like you said, come 6th and feel I've achieved a lifetime. If they're young, they've got the experience to move on to the next time.
Right.
Yeah. Unfortunately, some of the older ones might not have the other opportunity again, but they've still done well. You got to there. You know, which, yeah, they should be treated, obviously, like royalty, but as important people. For the